Anthony Simons potentially on the move this summer from the Portland Trailblazers. A number of teams may be interested, including this purple and gold club from Los Angeles. But first, Michael Wilbon calls out sports media for their treatment of Bronny James. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Most of you watching right now are not subscribed. So if that's you, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. What about you?
I'm doing well. I'm interested to get into this here. So this is what Michael Wilbon had to say the other day about Bronny. He said, I have a 17-year-old son, so this matters to me. I'm particularly sensitive to it. I'd do anything for my kid, and I would hug LeBron for what he did to his kid. What do you know? As a father, right? None of that. Just, hey, I would hug him for what he did for his kid. There were shows that talked about Bronny every day. You know what shows I'm talking about. I don't care if my bosses get mad. They would try to get Tony and me to talk about it. No, we were not going to do it. They talked about him more than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's pandering. It's all pandering. Let me be clear. Our business is a piece of shit a lot of days. That's right. I swear on this channel.
People always are caught off guard by it whenever you do it too.
I know, right? It's like when you see your teacher somewhere else. Like, yeah, teachers actually, go to the grocery store and something like. You're like, what? You don't just stay in the classroom the whole time? No, we don't. We do, and we occasionally swear too. So, Donnie, the thought process here, Michael Wilbon saying that the media was pandering by the way they were covering Bronny James, by all the coverage on him, and I think that this is something that's been coming up a lot lately, where there's been a lot of focus on why does media spend so much time on certain teams, on certain players? Like, why does OKC not get it for as good as they've been? Why do they not get more attention despite the fact that they've been so good? And the same can be said for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the two number one teams in the NBA, the East and the West right now. What do you think about this? Michael Wilbon being disgusted by sports media for how, not the way they're covering Bronny, but how often they're covering Bronny.
Yeah, it's altogether something that shouldn't be happening. I have never seen, let alone a second round pick, but the 55th pick get talked about this much. He gets talked about more than anybody else in the draft class. The number one pick or otherwise, Bronny James is that big of a name that they talk about him all the time. Now, the context does matter. He's LeBron's son. People are upset about Bronny being in the NBA for one reason or another. Like, all that stuff matters. And of course, that is true. But it's just crazy that they go out of their way to talk about Bronny, as he said, more than they talk about Shai or they talk about other teams. I mean, you could talk about how shitty the model is, but we've unveiled what the sauce is for these different companies repeatedly on this channel. It's find something inflammatory, say what you can, get trending, get people mad at you. People come back, they talk about it, because any engagement, good or bad, is good. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're just saying, oh, this guy's a loser, he doesn't know what he's talking about. All that, the more you quote tweet, you talk about it, you go in their YouTube videos, you flame them for what they're saying, all that's good. It all cooks the books. It's amazing. That's exactly what they want. And there are certain topics that are going to generate clicks. As Michael says, this is all just for clicks. And they know exactly what they're doing. That's the whole reason they don't cover basketball more honestly. They don't have more honest analysis, more in-depth analysis, because they're sitting behind it looking at the numbers like, hey, this is what people want, so let's just keep giving it. And in the case of Bronny, he falls directly in line with that, because he's extremely polarizing, because there's so many different factions of like all of this. There's people that just hate LeBron and anything associated with LeBron, and Bronny he's a whole entire different human being, but it still doesn't matter. There's people that scream nepotism. There's people that talk about his numbers in college or in the NBA when he's still producing what a 55th pick should be producing for most teams.
Yeah, I mean, maybe above what are you doing lately?
Like
God,
he's been really good. So it's just altogether pretty weird energy. And I think Michael was right on. But I do want to say, Michael has definitely said some things about LeBron in the past too that are kind of
well, okay. So yeah, I mean, look, a lot of it's clicks, it's engagement, and all of that, and that's fair. But let me ask you this: why doesn't McDonald's sell healthy food? Why don't they say healthy food? Why don't they? And when they know that's
What do you
better
mean? They
for
sell
everybody,
apple slices. They sell
right?
apple slices.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can get your apple slices that they slot in right next to your French fries and your cheeseburger that they're giving to a 6-year-old, right? Why don't they say sell healthy food? Because that's not what people want to eat.
Yeah.
That's not what people want to eat at that price. So they're giving people what it is that they want. Is it their job to give people what they should have, or to give people what they want? And that's the problem that we keep running into here. Is this is the kind of stuff people click on. Now, as media, I think that there is a little bit of responsibility to say, hey, look, nobody's paying attention to this. You need to pay attention to it, and this is why, and transfer that excitement to people. I do think that there is some importance in that. But at the same time, the numbers are what the numbers are. And obviously, Bronny is somebody who a lot of people are interested in. You look at this. This was a few months ago. 500,000 Bronny jerseys sold, bringing in $50 million in revenue. Like, the numbers speak. There's a reason why. There's a reason why if you go to any Oklahoma City Thunder game, guess what? The ticket prices are a lot cheaper than if you go to a Lakers game. If you go to a Warriors game, it's a lot more expensive. Yet you can get into a Thunder game, no problem, right? Like, there's a reason for all of this because people are interested in the Lakers. People are interested in LeBron. People are interested in Bronny. And so he's going to get brought up a lot because of that, because the numbers tell that producer that is in the host's ears to tell them, hey, talk about Bronny right now.
Yeah. Do you hear the cheers Bronny gets in every single arena? That's insane, dude. Like, it's crazy, like, how much people like, and that's also part of it too, is I think there's a very vocal, loud minority of people that don't like Bronny for X reason, but there's so many people that support him and want to see him succeed. In every arena he goes to, people are just oohing and awing the second he even touches the basketball. They don't get like that throughout the entire game. But if Bronny checks in, they start, or right before he checks in, we want Bronny. And then if he gets in, that's the loudest, most hyped the arena is. Like, it's crazy, and it's everywhere. So absolutely just kind of crazy as well.
And I think there's a fine line. And I think sometimes the numbers make us fall too far on one side of that line. I think we do need to figure out a better way to walk that fine line. You got to give people what they want. If people want to hear about Bronny, talk about Bronny, right? But you also have to be able to say, hey, but look, everybody, let me shine a light on what makes OKC so good. And maybe some of you won't watch this, but there's a lot of you who will, and we need to make sure that we focus on that too. And it's difficult to do. But I do feel like we've crossed the point now where too often we just talk about whatever is bombastic in the media, whatever it is that we know people are going to click on, whether or not it's actually what they should be interested or not. So it's as the talk on NBA media continues, I think it'll be worth keeping an eye on, like, who is able to kind of toe that line and talk about the things that are interesting, that are important. And versus the things that everybody just wants to get angry about. And that's really, I guess, Donnie, to bring it all full circle, that's part of what this is, right?
Yeah.
It's rage bait. Like, that's what you talk about Bronny, you're going to get a bunch of people complaining about Bronny in the comments. You get a bunch of people defending him as well. And so that's going to create that engagement. Is going to create even more eyeballs on him and even more incentive for people to talk about him. So
absolutely agree. Yeah. And Wendy said something similar too as part of the discourse with ESPN. He said we need to find a balance.
Yeah,
there has to be a balance between how much we talk about certain things, and it can't all be, we're only gonna poo-poo the league or talk about stuff like that, or just bring drama into the equation. And we also can't only go the complete opposite, where we're only shining that spotlight on teams like OKC and all this stuff. We need to find the balance, and I think that's fair. Right now, it's just all of media skews too far into the negative side.
I feel like in general, not just sports wise, but on a societal level, we're out of balance with the way things are, if you look at just the way people interact, and this is a much bigger picture conversation than something just for here on our basketball YouTube channel, but you look at what's going on and how people react to news, whether we want to talk politics or just about anything else, everybody kind of gets pushed into one group or another, pushed into one direction or another. And everything that is not that is going to get criticized. I think that there's this interesting, like, segmentation of the way society is working right now. And you see it even in our sports news coverage. the way it's got to be. Everything's got to be negative, and I have to have an extreme negative take, and everything has to be concerning and outrageous. And everybody look at this, and everyone needs to be mad about this right now. There is no middle ground. I cannot present both sides of the argument. I'm only presenting this side. Everything is awful, or the other side. Everything is great. This team is amazing. No one is ever beating this team ever, and we're pushed into these extremes. I think what we lose, because it's often where the truth lays, is the middle, and that's where often the real facts really come out. And that's what I fear gets lost in this segmentation, this polarization of our discussions.
Yep, absolutely agree with you, man.
All right. Again, apologies. I'll get off my soapbox for a second here. Let's talk NBA trades.
I could have kept going, man. I was like, I know we got another topic to get to, but I was like, I'm gonna let it go.
Let's talk about this. Let's get into Anthony Simons. You know what? And in a positive way, the damn Portland Trailblazers, they're playing some good basketball, man. And I'll tell you what, you know who I really like? I like Toumani Camara. That kid, they found something with that kid, and Deni Avdija deserves a lot of credit too. Portland is starting to figure some things out. This is from Brett Siegel's piece the other day, though, saying, hey, like Anthony Simons, because they found stuff with Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, these are the guys, Toumani Camara, these are the guys they're building around for their future. Still kind of some weird pieces, some weird fits, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, maybe they look to move those this summer, but throughout Anthony Simons as a guy that maybe is going to draw some interest, and connected him to the Orlando Magic, where he's from, the Miami Heat as well. But they also threw out the Lakers as a team that could be interested in going after Anthony Simons. So let's take a little look at his contract here. Donnie, is Anthony Simons? Let me ask you this: is Anthony Simons a starter on a contending team? Or is he like a scorer, sixth man on a contending team?
I think he could be a starter. I think that's fair. It just depends on who the other guard is next to him. You probably want more of a Drew Holiday type next to him, or Derek White type next to him. Somebody that can really take that assignment on defense, so he doesn't have to worry as much about that. But he's a good enough scorer, shooter, should be able to play off the ball. Yeah, I think that's fine. But he also could be that sixth man guy for you too.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 20 points a game over the last 3 seasons. Well, 19.3 this season. If you look at the percentages, I mean, okay for a two guard from the field. But then you go take a peek at the 3-point percentage, 38%, 39%, 36%. Okay, he's doing fine there. He gets to the free throw line an okay amount, can handle the ball, can pass, picks up assists. Pretty decent do-everything guard.
Nice combo guard.
Yeah, just a solid combo guard that I think would help a lot of teams. And I think you're right. The fit on a contending team would be important. Who is next to him in that backcourt? But Simons is, despite being 25, there's question about whether or not Simons needs to get moved to cede way fully to Scoot and Shaedon Sharpe. And perhaps, given where his contract is out right now in Portland, that might give them a little extra incentive to move him. I think he could be a sneaky name on the market this year that maybe we spent so much time talking about Kevin Durant trades that people undersell or undervalue what an Anthony Simons trade could mean. He's coming into the last year of his deal. He's extension eligible this year. If Portland really just wants to commit to the Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe backcourt, maybe Simons is a guy, in addition to Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton, that they look to move on from. Of those landing spots, though, the Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat, who makes sense? And then how do they put together a deal that gets to almost $28 million in salary?
Yeah, that's tricky. Maybe the Magic make the best sense. They've got a strong defensive core around him, and he could be another scorer for them.
Yeah.
The Heat, I don't know if they really need another scoring guard, but I'd need to look at the remaining length of some of their guys like Rozier. They also probably want to have the ball mostly in the hands of Hero going forward. And in terms of the Lakers, unless he's going to be the third guy off in terms of like the backcourt rotation off the bench, which he could, like I said, I think he could do. I just don't really see it because Austin is going to be high usage as is LeBron and Luka. I just don't really see much room for that type of guy.
I agree. The Lakers get added in there, and I just don't understand it.
It's probably more of the like, oh, throw the Lakers in.
It could have been. I also wonder, was that a thing like prior to the Luka trade?
Oh,
like maybe it makes some sense there. But even then, like, what the Lakers need is 3-and-D guys. They need three, and that's not Anthony Simons. That's okay, but I don't see where he fits in an Austin, Luka, Simons backcourt. You need a guy who can defend at a high level. It's going to be the other guard in that mix.
Yeah, but prior to the Luka trade, they needed ball handling. They needed creation. So like maybe that is a remnant from then. Like that's part of the reason they targeted Luka. But I mean, he was also the freaking generational superstar that randomly became available. Like you have to do that no matter what.
Luka, it's because he's Luka.
You got to just go get Luka,
right?
But no, specifically after moving D'Lo, they just didn't have enough ball creation, and so I think maybe that could have been a remnant from then as well. But yeah, I don't see it. I don't really see it. I think these teams all have good guards.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I think Terry Rozier, by the way, from Miami's always going to be interested in these guys. They've already got Tyler Hero doing his thing. Who do you want to put Simons next to Hero? I don't know. But you look at Terry Rozier, one of the weirdest contracts in the NBA. Look, guaranteed almost 20. He has a $26.6 million contract with almost 25 million of it guaranteed. What does that do?
What's the point? Might as well just make it all guaranteed.
Right?
He might as well be fully guaranteed. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, are we sure he's going to be in the league next year?
I mean, I would assume
it's possible.
Why would he not be in the league, Donnie?
Well, because last I heard he was being investigated, right? Did they conclude that? I don't know. I don't think that's serious. I heard he was being investigated.
I thought I would have heard something. We would have heard something on that by now. Had it.
And the way there was highlights going around like last week of him absolutely selling the game. So I wouldn't be surprised. No, I don't want to put that on him.
Let's not put that on. But hopefully he obviously hopefully he's still around.
Jokes aside, don't get mad at me. My bad. I don't want to put that on him. I think he could pair pretty well with Davion, though, if they were to get Anthony.
Yeah, if you were to get, say, a Davion Mitchell in there. Now, who's a restricted free agent, but a Davion Mitchell, Anthony Simons backcourt. The problem is you already got Tyler Hero, and you're so committed to building around him. No, but you know who makes a lot of sense? It's the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic make a ton of – this team can't score. They can't score. That is the problem for the Orlando Magic. They can't score. They're the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA unless they're playing the Los Angeles Lakers. They are not putting the ball in the basket. And then you've got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who his shooting has come around this month. But other than that, he's struggled to shoot the ball. Well, what do you want next to Jalen Suggs? That's the real question. And Jalen Suggs is a dynamo. He's an incredible defensive player. He's out right now due to injury. But I think a Simons-Suggs backcourt could actually work really, really well. And I think the two of them could play off of each other, especially because of how good Suggs is on the defensive side of the ball. You add that to Franz Wagner, you add that to Paolo Banchero. My only question with it would become, would Simons take the ball out of the hands of Wagner or Banchero? But I think he could be a really nice fit there. And could you go with an expiring contract like Cole Anthony? Could you go with some future draft capital you could add into a deal to try to make something work? There's some pieces there that could be interesting. You know, you have Gary Harris, $0 guaranteed on the next deal. Mo Wagner, $0 guaranteed on that deal, but they'd have to pick those up to put them into a trade. Mo's out with injury right now, but I think Orlando is screaming for a guy like Anthony Simons.
Yeah, I think they'd probably like to hang on to Mo. He's very useful for them, and he's also, I don't know, the brother of their main star.
I'm not
1A, 1B guy.
I don't think they would be in any rush to get rid of Mo, but it's still a good salary.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a good movable number right there at 11 million. But I was looking at Cole. Cole's been kind of weird. He was not a part of what they were doing after being previously a part of what they were doing to a big degree. And then he started to have that stretch where he was really good and useful for them. But yeah, I think maybe he's the guy that you would probably look to try to flip. Similar age, could be the third guard in a Shaedon Sharpe Scoot backcourt. Right. I do have questions about that backcourt anyway. Scoot's better than he was last year, right? But like,
oh yeah.
I'm still waiting to really see it from Scoot, and he's only in his second year, so it's not like sometimes guys take 3, 4, 5 years. That's fine. But I do wonder what their timeline is with the way they've been playing. Like, I wonder if their timeline is a little bit quicker than we expect.
Well, I think some of it's going to come down to when we look at, what about the draft and who do they land there? Now, Scoot's got to get a little bit more efficient. Of course, his shooting numbers aren't where we'd want them. In fact, on the season, shooting numbers are down a little bit, but maybe February gave us an idea of what he could do. 44% from the field, 38% from three. I mean, you'd gladly take that from Scoot. March has not been as kind to him with his shooting efficiency numbers, 38% and 31%. Yikes there.
Mm.
But
Yeah, he
but if
struggled
they
with that for his career so far.
right, so but if they believe that it's the Scoot shaded backcourt, maybe you do move on and move Simons, and then the question would become, well, what does Orlando give up that Portland actually wants, though?
Yeah.
And then we can get into draft capital and all that. But in terms of stacking salaries, and maybe it becomes a 3-team deal or whatever, I mean, Orlando can at least get themselves in the game, I think.
Yeah, I think Orlando does need another guy that can score,
Yeah.
though, for sure. I think that's extremely apparent. With that, what do you do? Do you move KCP to the bench, or like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. That would be. Let's say Cole Anthony goes out because, as you said, he was not part of the rotation at one point. Then they unleashed him and they went, "Oh yeah, this guy's really good." But let's say you move Cole Anthony, and your 3-guard rotation is Anthony Simons, KCP, and Jalen Suggs. That's pretty good.
And Anthony Black too in the mix.
And you've got Anthony Black who can come in and do some things off the bench for you, and he's been a really good defensive player. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good grouping right there. And then who knows what happens with Gary Harris and all of that. So that's not bad, and that at least gives you that kind of extra scoring punch right now that Orlando needs. Now I know they thought KCP was going to solve their 3-point woes, and then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he wound up being in a slump for all season until he got to March, and then suddenly March he went, oh yeah, that's right, I can shoot, and started hitting them again.
Yeah, finally, but it's a little too late, KCP.
He did that when he was with the Lakers, though. He would go through long slumps. He's shooting 32% from 3, shot 40%.
It's got to be a career low.
32% from 3, but you go look at the month of March. Yeah, I think that's a career low, but you go look at the month of March, 42% from 3. For the whole month, 42%. It's like he just went, here's his month by month, 28%, right? 28% here in December, 36% from 3. All right, in January. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Oh wait, 27%. Never mind, I was just kidding. And then 42%. He's like, oh, that's right. I am really good at shooting the basketball.
No, KCP is a star player merchant. He lived off LeBron and Jokic. That's what it is. And you won't prove me otherwise.
Casey, he has to. That's the problem. Is that Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero's stars aren't bright enough?
They're not bright enough. They're pretty bright, but they ain't bright enough.
They're not bright enough. They're not bright enough. All right. So KCP to like Milwaukee or something where there's a little bit of a brighter star there.
I actually think they should try to personally get like a little bit of a younger 3-and-D guy to plug in.
Yeah.
I think KCP is just out. He's not going to be a part of their timeline for much longer. Like he's just a little bit older. Well, the rest of their team is like mid to early 20s.
And I bet contending teams would still have interest in him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. At worst, KCP would probably be the 8th man on most contending teams, and I'd take that.
The only problem is he's got a player option summer after next for $21 million. That might be enough to scare some teams away, but 21.6 and then 21.6 again the next summer. That could be a little bit scary for teams, but everybody's looking for 3-and-D these days. And if you believe KCP was just in a slump for a good chunk of the year, maybe they could use him.
I could talk myself into a 1-year slump. He's got a long career. Like that's not going to define the player.
All right. Well, Anthony Simons potentially on the move here. I like Orlando as a landing spot for him, but definitely somebody to keep an eye on as we head into the summer, and somebody that I think Portland's got a number of guys that they will look to move, or at least be willing to listen on. Whether or not they actually move guys, we'll see.
Go back to their books really quick.
Yeah,
how many of those guys are on expiring or will be expiring soon?
So not as much as you would. So Ayton will be expiring. Okay. He'll be on next season is his final season. That's what we're looking at. Jeremy Grant not. Simons is. Robert Williams is. So
okay, there should be some movement this offseason.
There should be movement. They need to get something for Rob Williams before they have to pay him. He's not been able to stay healthy once again. Ayton, if you could sell him as a $35.5 million expiring contract, I definitely don't think he's worth that much. No. But if you could move on from him, I would do that. Jeremy Grant needs to be traded yesterday, but they have still hung on to him.
I think Thibault should garner some interest. In fact,
Oh,
he
no.
may be young enough to stay on their timeline a little bit here. He's 27.
You know, I do like Matisse Thybulle. He finally made. I mean, had the longest ankle sprain absence, had to be in NBA history. But you look at what he's done since coming back. Donnie Matisse Thybulle, he's shooting 44% from three.
On how many attempts? You can't fool me.
He's
How many
shooting three attempts per game.
Okay, that actually
that's-
moves me a little bit.
That's old
okay.
school Rui Hachimura back
Yeah,
right there. Like
that
his
moves me
attempts are
right
up
there.
now, but that's like what Rui used to
Okay.
shoot.
Okay, because if you were going to tell me he's shooting like 0.9 a game, then you're not going to get me.
Now the difference is it's only in 8 games. It's only 8 games.
it's only
We
8
look at
games.
totals. We're talking he's made 10 of 23. So small sample size in full effect here.
Man, I'm not buying that.
But you know what? But look at
if
last season.
If he's 35,
35. I would take for the way that dude can defend.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
If he's at 35, I'm happy. I'm happy at 35. So if you believe, you buy the last 3 seasons, he's been 39, 35, now 43 and a half. That will slip. But still, if you buy these last 3 seasons from him and just say, well, you know, I know he's had some injury issues, but we think he can stay healthy, he'd be an interesting target for some teams, I think.
Yeah, for sure. He's got great size, great defensive mobility. Assuming I haven't watched much Portland this season, assuming he's still the same player that we're thinking of anyway.
No, he's been good. Defensively.
Yeah, I would bite. They've got it, but like I said, I think they may keep him. Him and Kamara, Sharp, like that's that's pretty legit.
Now, Portland right now dreaming. What about if you have Shaedon Sharp, you've got Scoot, a little bit more hit and miss, but still, you got Kamara, Thybulle, and then you had Cooper Flag.
Are they winning too much for that? I think they might be.
I
winning
mean,
too
you
much.
never know how the basketball gods are gonna treat them here. They have the 9th best lottery odds right now.
Okay, so even with their winning, they're still okay.
Even with their winning. Now, here, let's see. Do the basketball gods smile upon Portland?
What is the actual chance, though?
No, they actually dropped down. Their actual chance is 4.5% of going number 1 overall. Oh my God! Look what we did for Miami.
Oh wow, they shot up 9
really? Spots. Miami got the number 2 pick. Utah landed the number 1 pick.
Oh my God! Watch Miami land Cooper. We didn't even talk about that. Watch Miami land it. I wouldn't be mad though. These teams.
They have a 2.5% chance at it. Their 11.7% shot of moving into the top 4 came through in that scenario we just ran.
Run it 2 more times. Let's see if Portland jumps.
Oh, there it is. Not number 1, but they got 4.
Okay, that's still a good number.
They've got a chance there.
Washington getting number 1.
Oh no! Look,
New Orleans at 2. Oh my God!
New Orleans at 2.
Wow!
Look what happened to Philly. They gave the 7th pick to OKC. Oh, that would be a disaster. That would be a disaster. All right, one Unamas.
No, they're at 9 again.
Portland, Portland just stayed there. Toronto jumped up 5 spots. Everybody else mostly stayed, except these teams dropped down a little bit.
That 14% chance is carrying because most of the time we did this, I think it was Utah up there.
Yeah,
that 14% chance is carrying.
Here, there it is.
Oh,
there it is.
It actually happened.
It happened.
They got
You're
that
welcome,
one chance.
Portland.
Well, we just ruined it for them because they won't happen again.
Look at that. That's like I just delivered them via the Oregon Trail, the number 1 pick.
Wow.
They got it.
Won't happen again, though.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, let us know your thoughts on Anthony Simons. Where should he land? What do you think is the best spot for him? And then, of course, let us know your thoughts as well about Bronny James and the way the media has been covering him. Michael Wilbon took exception to that. Thank you again, everybody, for joining the show and the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.